Calaveras County, and welcome to another edition of Mondo Calaveras. I'm your host, Mike Taylor. Now, we've always talked on this show about having fun here in Calaveras County, and have I got something fun for you? My guests today, well, actually, the first guest kind of has to get this really long introduction that I'll condense into just a few seconds, but I've known Neil Hjelmervik longer than probably I've known most people in this county because he was my teacher way back when, once upon a mumble time ago at Calaveras High School. He was the band director there at Calaveras High School for
32 years.
32 years. Anyway, Neil Hjelmervik and Cyndie Klorer, and you guys are with Calaveras Has Talent.
That's right.
And this is its second year, correct?
That's right.
Okay, now we're just going to dive in and you're going to tell us all about it, and I'll interrupt you when you come up with something that I want to get our viewers to know something else about. So what kind of started Calaveras Has Talent?
Well, it started, I'd say, about a year and a half ago when there was a threat to remove music from the curriculum at Calaveras Unified School District. Mm-hmm. Based on that perceived danger, we started an organization called Calaveras Save Campaign. Okay. That then became fully organized as Calaveras Youth Organization, now a 501c3 organization.
Oh, great.
And in order to fund our purpose to support and encourage music education in all the Calaveras County schools, mm-hmm. we needed to have a fundraiser.
Sure.
And we came upon this idea. Actually, Cliff Edson and Steve Baum came up with it at, I think, at Hog Dogs. They were having lunch. Mm-hmm. And they came up with this idea of having Calaveras Has Talent. Mm-hmm. And we started it last year, and it was quite successful. And so we're repeating it this year.
Great. Now, kind of how does it work? What do you do, sort of, I don't know, tryouts kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Right. We have a series of local auditions, we call them. There's 8 days. The dates will be shared at some point. Dates can be found on our website, save at or calaveras.youth.org, mm-hmm. or Calaveras Save Campaign on the Facebook. But they start in April and go through June, 8 days of auditions at various sites throughout the county.
Great.
So that's where we get started.
And who's it open to?
It's open to anybody.
Everybody.
Okay. What kind of acts did you have last year?
Oh, gosh. We were all over the place. We had dancers, singers, jugglers, magicians. Mm-hmm. We had a yo-yo kid. He was amazing. There was so much
really
talent.
Broad kind of selection, variety of acts.
Yeah, and a
That's
really
cool.
broad age range, too. And Calaveras really does have talent. There are a lot of wonderful acts.
They lurk under the rocks somewhere. And
mm-hmm.
something
so
about
we were lucky enough to bring them out a little bit.
And you guys brought them out. So speaking of those tryouts, I'll divulge those dates now, just kind of here real quick so that we know kind of what's going on. April 23rd, mm-hmm. which is pretty darn soon. That's going to be at Valley Springs Elementary School. May 7th at Calaveras High School and at Michelson Elementary.
Right.
And then May 14th at Bret Harte High School and Copperopolis Elementary School. June 4th at McCullum Hill Elementary. June 11th at the Mountain Ranch Town Hall. And June 18th at Jenny Lind Elementary School. And the reason I didn't mention any times, folks, is because they are all from 9 to 5. So I guess Dolly Parton and the gang will be there soon.
We're hoping.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, how do these individual sort of auditions / tryouts work? Since it's open from 9 to 5, I'm guessing folks just kind of show up and do what they do?
I was fortunate enough to be on a judging panel last year for the mm-hmm. auditions. And, we're there throughout the day. Just people pop in at their leisure. Many people come with a backup CD of their tracks if they're singing or dancing.
Okay.
Others come carrying an amp and an electric guitar.
Perfect.
It's we're pretty flexible. Okay. And like to encourage everyone to come out and join us.
Just kind of show up. And so there's not really an audience per se, except I'm sure the friends
we made it a point to avoid audiences at this first stage.
I see.
It's the performer and a panel of judges.
Okay.
And they have a score sheet, and they score individually.
Okay.
And then their scores are averaged. And based on that, at the end of everything, we know which acts have passed the local audition and are ready to be scheduled at a quarterfinal.
Okay.
Now, there's two quarterfinals.
Two quarterfinals. Okay.
One at the Calaveras Performing Arts Center. That would be on August 6th. Then the second quarterfinal would be on August 13th at Bret Harte Theater.
Okay.
Then it goes back to Calaveras for the semifinal on August 20th. So those that win at the quarterfinals then move on to the semifinal.
Okay.
And from the semifinal, we'll go back to Bret Harte Theater for the grand finale on September 24th.
Great.
And the cool thing about this, I really want to emphasize, is last year we had some awkwardness with the sound quality at some of our final locations.
I see.
And so in an attempt to have consistent sound of a high quality for the verity of the performers and for the convenience of the judges and audiences, we decided to just stay with these two theaters that have built-in sound and well-designed acoustics.
Sure. And Cyndie, that's kind of partially how you come into this. I know
a
last
little
year.
bit,
we'll
yeah.
talk a little bit more about what you do, but actually you're kind of acting as kind of a quasi-manager at the new Performing Arts Center.
Yeah,
right?
they've given me not really a title. I'm the media specialist at Calaveras High School, and by my own volunteering.
I know theater.
And I've been dying for this building to be built for 9 years.
Sure.
So some of the correspondence I'm getting referred to me as the CPAC coordinator.
Oh, okay.
And I'll take that.
Go.
So I've been down there whenever I can.
So you're also in the military.
Calaveras Performing Arts Center.
I know. That's
So,
my
yes,
favorite
I am
thing about
enjoying-
education is there are more acronyms than the military.
Seriously. The CUSD CPAC at CHS.
What do you kind of do with Calaveras Has Talent?
Well,
Cyndie?
last year, Neil recruited me first as a judge, and I enjoyed it so much, and that's when I met or actually reconnected with Steve Baum. He and I both went to Calaveras High School as well and had Mr. Hjelmervik on campus. When we reconnected, he recruited me to be the stage manager for Calaveras Has Talent. So all the way from the quarterfinals up through the finale, I got to be the stage manager, spend time with the acts, and get to know my way around backstage. It was a lot of fun.
Who do you end up with serving as judges for all of these? Because you've got a lot of, 8 different, and a couple of those days have more than one venue. So it sounds like you've got a lot of folks volunteering.
We have a list of about 50 potential judges that have served last year or have expressed interest. A lot of them are alumni. For the local auditions, we go with all community area persons, such as yourself, that are interested, have some experience with the arts, and can sit there and go, well, I'll give him a 10 on this and a 9 on this and a 6. Oh, this one's a 9, and can score.
Sure.
And it's just really good. When it comes to the semi and quarter and grand finale, we try to reach outside the community to find talented people of a wider experience range, I would say.
Sure. And we have, as we were talking just before we started filming, and even a little bit here, there is so much talent in this county that you really don't have to go too far.
That's
to
very
find
true.
Folks, we used to call them garage bands, but they're not garage bands anymore. They're pretty darn good.
Yes.
We see them at the Music in the Parks events all through the summer.
Exactly.
So I'm sure you can find your fair share of singers who know what to and what not to do on stage. And that leads me to my next question. Is there any kind of a I don't know how to word this, but sort of a help you polish it as you get into the semifinals kind of thing? So is there a component where, you're sort of running through the show and maybe someone with some power of suggestion other than a crystal ball? But,
what we did last year was in preparation, I think, for the semifinal and in preparation for the grand finale, we did try to find opportunities to connect the contestants with other persons that might offer help.
Great.
Some took that advantage and accepted that and met with persons within the county and beyond the county to get suggestions for improvement of their presentation. Others felt they were comfortable with what they were doing, but that's offered.
You know, I had an interesting thing happen just the other day. I ran into one of our contestants who was in high school at the time last year when he was involved, and he said to me, "I wish I would have listened to your sound guy. I was so nervous that I kept moving the microphone away from me and turning my guitar down, and your sound guy knew what he was talking about, and I should have listened to him."
That is the toughest
try to
thing.
trust us.
That's the toughest thing about singing with a microphone, isn't it? Is knowing when, and you see, you know, on a show like The Voice, and I watch a little more of that than I do American Idol, just because I'd rather see people sing than just talk. But
well said.
Wonder why it's ending. But, you know, you see the professionals telling them, you know, as you go to belt that note, you want to back off that microphone a little bit because you're just going to overload the system with that sound. So that's a really good point. The sound guy or gal knows what he or she is telling you.
Hopefully.
And then having these two fantastic theaters to do everything should help a lot, too.
It should be much. Last year was good. This will be better.
Oh, sure. Now, how many acts did we end up with last year?
There were 72 acts. 72, I believe.
And that's from the local
local
tryouts
audition.
All the way on up. Okay.
A total of 90 people, individuals, participated in those 72 acts.
Cool. And when it gets to the judging part, is there any kind of an audience participation? I know there's not like a vote kind of thing, but does the audience get involved in this somehow?
We did experiment a little bit with that last year, where you could text your vote in for, I believe we had kind of a...
Lucky 13,
Lucky
we called
13.
it. Yes.
And so normally we would narrow it down to 12, and then we had the Lucky 13, and that was a popular vote from the audience where they could text in.
Okay.
We also had an applause meter.
Oh, nice.
Came into play on a couple of the competitions.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're trying to get the audience to participate and enjoy it, and they did. They did.
Oh, I bet.
We had a great time.
Now, so by the time we get to the quarterfinals, that's where the audience can come in, right?
Yes, and that's where we seek to raise the funds.
Sure.
Because the purpose of Calaveras Youth Organization is to proactively get out and support music education and make it possible for children in Calaveras County, all the schools.
Yeah.
Not Calaveras Unified, but all in Calaveras County.
I think I applaud you for that, taking it kind of countywide once the CUSD...
We spent close to $7,000 this year in supporting, providing things that the music teachers felt they needed to have successful experiences.
Great.
And we hope to double that if we can this year.
Have those needs changed much from the days when you were doing it? Which honestly wasn't that long ago. But
it really wasn't, except it was. The funny thing is, in 1968, when I started teaching, I bought some new instruments. And some of those new instruments were sousaphones. Last year, we replaced one of those sousaphones with a brand new sousaphone.
It actually survived that long.
Precisely.
And knowing how us high school kids treated some of our instruments, present company excluded, of course. But and a sousaphone, for those of you who don't know, that's the tuba out there that marches around on the field. This is really cool, and I have to be honest, I managed to miss all of the events last year. I don't know which rock I was under, but I didn't get even to any of the quarterfinals, and what I'm thinking is that it sounds like some of these acts might end up a little bit like The Voice, or America's, or Britain's, or Australia's Got Talent. They end up with some fans that really get to rooting for them.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty exciting, too, having...
Yes. We had one of our youth finalists, or actually our youth finalist, the winner of the youth competition, performing at the Performing Arts Center. And she spoke with a group of 5th and 6th graders. And it was a large group.
Oh, nice.
300 or 400 of them.
Wow.
And it was so amazing to see this high school girl inspiring these young kids, saying, it's not that hard, you could be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes that's all it takes is that little, I don't want to say push, but maybe a nice polite nudge off the edge, because it can be incredibly intimidating. But I imagine that having a relatively supportive audience, which I imagine our Calaveras County audience is.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
You might have a favorite act, but you're going to cheer and squeal for all of them, because I'm sure
that
they
tends
all
to
do a
be
good
true.
job. Yeah. Now, what I wonder, and you guys probably know this from maybe serving as judges, but how do you compare, and this goes to my own brain, and how you compare Gandhi to Star Wars? You can't enter those against each other in a Best Picture contest in my mind, because they both serve different things and they're different kinds of entertainment. So how do the judges sort of wrestle, say, a stand-up comedian versus a singer versus a person who plays a great guitar and sings a good song?
Well, it all goes back to the score sheets that the judges use.
Okay.
There are categories of technical skill. There's categories of a connection with the audience.
Oh, okay.
Presentation style. There's categories that would be consistent with whatever the act is.
Great.
And
okay.
so it's a tough thing, I'm sure. But that helps to get past that block.
Sure. And the subjectivity kind of gets mitigated a little bit there, I guess, because like I say, a magician is going to have a different kind of captivation factor than a singer who, when they hit that belt note, everybody reacts,
Right.
and you only get the one reaction with the magician when the girl pops out of the cake or whatever.
Yes.
So
It's a family show, Mike.
I didn't say she wasn't wearing anything.
And that's important to say, too, though, that as
Family
people
appropriate acts.
consider participating and competing, all the acts must be family-friendly.
Sure.
With appropriate language and subject matter.
Yeah.
So that needs to
And
be said.
lyrics, which that's something you've
Yeah.
probably got to watch more closely than I would
Very
imagine
true.
anything else.
Very true.
What did last year's competition is in the can, so to speak. So what were your two kind of personal favorites or acts that you really thought kind of, wow, that's in this county kind of thing? Neil?
Well, for me, I rather loved them all. There was a couple of the vocals. Since I'm music in nature, I tended to gravitate toward the music performances.
Sure.
And there were some singers that really did a fine job, I thought.
Nice.
It's a good thing I wasn't a judge, and that's cool. It's great to have other people doing that judging.
Yeah. What about you,
yours?
Cyndie?
Well, I spent so much time with the acts backstage that I really got to bond with them and make friendships with them and people that I keep in touch with now. So I think that influenced me a little bit. Now I'm thinking, gosh, I really like you. Plus, you're really talented. I could not pick a favorite. I do think that the judges and the audience last year made the right choices.
Did they? And who did win?
Katie Meeks from Calaveras
that's
High
right.
School
Okay.
is a dancer who won a youth competition.
And was it Aaron and Crystal?
Aaron and Crystal
That's
Daly.
right.
Daly, that's right.
They're out of Valley Springs, and they are a husband and wife duo. He plays guitar, and she sings, and they are adorable.
Something
and that's some of
else,
the
huh?
friendships I'm talking about is backstage. Sure. I mean, there were goodbye hugs and group pictures, selfies, Facebook. It was a lot of fun.
You could have had a Miss and Mr. Congeniality contest
Absolutely.
too, because it's not that dog eat dog a competition.
No,
Yeah,
everyone
it's very
was
supportive.
Very
a lot of
supportive.
fun.
That's really cool because
Yeah.
and that would be the impression that I would get with it
yeah.
around here too,
Sure,
knowing
sure.
who might show up for this kind of thing.
Always hugs for each other coming off stage. Yeah. That's
What would you, at this point, recommend to somebody who's sitting out there now thinking, I've got those, friends who tell me that I should grab a microphone and sing. What should they be doing now, and what should they do as they pick the date that they're going to go? Do you have to go, say, like if you live in the McCullamy Hill, Railroad Flat area, do you have to go to McCullamy Hill, or could you go to Copperopolis?
You can go anywhere you wish to audition. We would assign a location for the quarterfinal.
Sure.
And if there's issues with timing or scheduling, we're very flexible.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my suggestion to anybody, whether you're a person that sings or dances or has skills with yo-yo or magic or any of the performing arts, drama, presentations, is to select music that would be pleasing both to you as a performer and to the audience. because you want to connect with the audience. And then rehearse it, practice it, record it, watch it, perform for other people. Go out to the neighbors next door or your friends at church or wherever you might be and perform. Perform a lot.
Yeah.
I agree. Good advice. And I think from my experience, the judges are really just people, and they want to support you. They're not looking to criticize and critique. They want you to succeed. So I hope that people will feel comfortable coming to the auditions and knowing that if you start and you need to restart, we're not going to kick you out. You know, we want you to succeed, and we really want to see as much of the talent come out as we can.
I think it needs to be mentioned that people that started off with the local auditions that barely made it and they got to the quarterfinal, all of a sudden they started gathering steam and momentum, and when we saw
blossomed
them
along the way, huh?
Exactly.
Oh, that's terrific.
That's a very, very true thing, and it's encouraging to people.
Well, what's interesting, and I keep pulling to those shows that are, nationally broadcast, but something like The Voice or even America's Got Talent, you see some of those acts, and especially on America's Got Talent, let's kind of call the shovel. You see an act and you think, okay, but they're going to have to do this performance like 7 or 8 more times during the course of this competition. Not so many times here with Calaveras Has Talent, but where I'm going with this is, like if you're a stand-up comedian, you've got to have more than one set of material ready to go.
Absolutely.
And obviously, if you're a singer, you're not going to be able to sing, You Lift Me Up 5 times through this competition. You're going to have to mix it up.
Exactly.
And I really appreciated what you said, Neil, about connecting with the song, both yourself as the performer and for the audience. I mean, a lot of people, I think, tend to overthink what they think the audience wants to hear. And they forget that if they aren't bought into the song and let's be honest, emotionally invested in it at some point, they're not going to be able to perform it with the kind of gusto and the kind of exuberance that really shows up and then connects with the audience, i.e. initially the judges out there on the stage. So on the auditions / tryouts, are those like almost in a classroom? They're not even on a stage, or?
That's basically true.
Okay. I was just checking to see how.
There might be a stage, or it might be a room such as the room we're in here, where there's room for 3 people to sit at a table and judge, and there's room for someone to perform, whether they're standing in one place and just rooted and performing, or whether they're moving around. And there's enough room for that, but there's not necessarily a stage. There will, however, be sound equipment at each audition.
Oh, okay.
So
that you get, the sound is reproduced well enough for the whole room and everything. Will, if say it's a younger person and their parents are with them, are the parents allowed to be in the room too?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
if
there is 18, kind of an audience.
Yeah, the parents need to be there to support the young ones.
Yeah, okay. But and otherwise, you basically keep everybody out of the room,
more or less,
and it's performed for the judges at this audition.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, we had people that were elementary school age, as well as seasoned adult performers. So that's why we had 2 different categories and winners in both categories.
Okay. And something we didn't cover, but it doesn't cost anything to enter, correct?
No cost to enter at all.
Okay, great.
They do have to go to our website, which I believe is on the screen. They go to the website and they download the application, bring it to the site, no cost, no fee to audition.
Yeah, and that's calaveras.youth.org is the website, folks. Up there is an email address. But you can also call the phone number, too, if you have any questions for them. Now, we're getting a little bit short on time, but one thing we haven't touched on is what has the money from last year gone toward this year? So what kinds of things have you been able to support this year?
Primarily, we've provided instruments. In 2 senses. We bought a brand new sousaphone. That's
not small potatoes. Yeah, I was going to say, that's what's going to be my guess.
We spent several $100s in repairing instruments for both school districts. We have obtained some other instruments that are going to be available through the Calaveras Community Band. as
super.
loaners. We have also supplied hundreds of dollars in supplies and materials, everything from cymbals and cymbal stands to reeds and materials for the classroom preparation. And,
great.
And we've been trying to we go to the teachers and say, what do you need?
What do you need? That's perfect.
And that's what we try to supply.
That's
Music
great.
stands, that sort of thing. And the other thing I would like to mention is we have a very urgent need for sponsors. Last year we had a list of sponsors that's half a page long. And we probably don't have time to read them all, but they were so appreciated, and we need sponsors this time as well. So if individuals watching this would like to be a sponsor, send an email to save@calaverasuYouth.org or give us a call at the number on the screen, and we would greatly value your participation as a sponsor.
That's super.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, we were able to provide some instruments to people who lost their instruments in the Butte fire.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
My goodness.
So that was
How can I forget
really,
that?
That's great.
That was a neat
yeah.
experience to be able
the
to
not a dry eye
give
in the
a kid
house
a
kind of
guitar
moment.
or-
Guitars,
Yeah.
a drum set, other instruments.
Which is actually a unique form of sponsorship in itself.
It is
also,
indeed.
sure, we could use the money,
Sure.
but instruments would be helpful
That's
as well.
that's an interesting point, because I know for quite some time the Vallecito Union School District had a program where folks could donate instruments and they would get them repaired and then make them available to
And
students.
they're still doing that through Calaveras Community Band.
Oh,
and
that's
now
great.
we are partnering with Calaveras Community Band.
Okay, super. Mick Harper and the
exactly.
gang. Oh, that's great. As we're right down to our last minute or so, I kind of asked this before, but give those people who are out there thinking, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm too scared. I'm too nervous. It's going to be too intimidating. Give them the spiel.
Give it a shot. If you enjoy what you're doing, if you enjoy your dance or your music or whatever the performing art is, and you like it, you're going to make other people happy too. And they're going to cheer you on. And funny thing, when people cheer you on, you do better.
Oh, yeah.
Performing is where it's at.
Yeah.
So if you've got a skill out there, do a little prep on it, get it honed down, make it as cool as you can, and get out there and give it a try. Who knows? You could be the next grand prize winner. You never know.
What is that grand prize, real quick?
Grand prize would be a huge trophy, cash. I think it was $200, $300 last year. Or first, second, and third place all have trophy, cash, performing opportunities.
Oh, man, that's great.
Recording studio,
Time.
videos.
Oh, cool. So you're really taking care of
sponsors.
And that's sponsors. Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We're right down out of time. I want to thank Neil Hjelmervik and Cyndie Klorer for being here. You have to be ready to catch Calaveras Has Talent. Make sure and check out the website, calaverasuYouth.org, and figure out exactly when you need to enter. Now, as for you and me, I will see you next time on Mondo Calaveras. I'm Mike Taylor. Enjoy.